Welcome to a new video, and as the title suggests, this is all about the Xiaomi Watch 2 without the S at the front or the Pro at the back. So the vanilla Xiaomi Watch 2 that I have here on my wrist. I use it now for a couple of days, and I want to give you my report about this WearOS watch from Xiaomi. So let's get started. So my experience with the watch begins with unboxing it and trying to connect it to a smartphone. And it might be my mistake, but it's not working with Chinese ROM smartphones like my Xiaomi 14 or 14 Pro or 14 Ultra for that matter. But it should be or supposed to work with Xiaomi EU ROM smartphones like my Xiaomi 13 Ultra. But I also tried global ROM smartphones like the Honor Magic 6 Pro, the brand new one that I have in a global version here. And for some reason I couldn't get it to connect. Every time it says it connected on the Chinese version, it never said it connected. But on the global versions at least, it said it connected, but then it never really went anywhere. So we had a screen like, please wait until it finished. And then I got like a screen on the watch itself that told me it's not going to work. And yeah, the only button that I have there is a reset button. It will reset the whole watch, and I'm starting from the beginning, which is like total nonsense. I'm not sure if it's Xiaomi's doing or it's like WearOS that is like this stupid there in this regard. So I couldn't get it to work until like the 10th or 11th try. I just gave up already. I wanted to send it back already. And then with the Honor Magic 6 Pro, it connected. And that's the only device I could get it to connect to. And then it was working somehow. Because yeah, I had some stutters and sometimes like messages that randomly appeared that told me that yeah, it doesn't have any connection anymore to the phone, which is super weird. Then we had to I had to install not the normal Google Wear application, but the Xiaomi Mi Fit app and connect with this. And with this I had, I think, a bit more stable connection, and I could read all the data from the watch, which is nice and dandy, like sleep data, or calories burned, or steps that I took with the watch, such things. So this is working fine when it comes to this. But yeah, the initial impression with the setup, I think, is something that they can improve. Maybe it's a WearOS thing, because why does it have to be so complicated? That's only working on a few devices and they're not really stable. And the hassle with getting it to run and the watch resetting itself every time, which took me like a couple of days to connect it to a smartphone, is definitely something they have to improve. Let's come to the positive things. This watch runs very smooth. So the operating system on it is pretty smooth. 60 Hertz running there, no hiccups, no issues there at all with the watch when it comes to running applications, switching between applications, and so on. So the Snapdragon processor inside there is also powerful enough to run multiple applications, so I can run a timer in the background and have like Google Assistant running in the foreground. Then we talk about another good thing. Google Assistant is on board. It's quite fast in detecting what you're saying, and you can have almost all the functions that are on the watch are built in, so you can use them like a timer, for example. Very useful. And yeah, lots of interesting applications there as well. There's Spotify. There is YouTube's music on board, and lots and lots of other applications that are available on the Google Play Store for this watch. So in terms of applications and connectivity to those applications, you get lots and lots of possibilities there, which is pretty nice. But I have to talk about the issues that I encountered there as well. Like, for example, connectivity to the smartphone is necessary for most of the things. Like, for example, the Google Assistant was not working for me when my smartphone was lying in another room because the connectivity was not there anymore. And so I had either very long waiting times, or it didn't work at all. And I got an error message at one point, and I had to go out of the room. It's not very handy if you're just cooking right now, have your hands full somehow, and you want to press the button. And this is another negative point. You have to press the button because this raise to wake feature was working so unreliably. Short little update from the future. Raise to wake is now working. As you can see here, I got an update for the watch, and now this is working flawlessly. Had an issue before it not working, and this is why I mentioned it, but you have to install the latest update for the Watch 2, and now it's working fine every time. You can see also the watch face every time. There we go. More reliable for sure. The smart always on display, another positive feature, because almost all the watch faces feature an always on display, and the smart always on display will turn this always on display off completely if it detects that you're wearing it under a sleeve, for example, but it will turn it on as soon as it notices, okay, it's not under the sleeve anymore. So this is working very nice, and it doesn't consume so much power, I think. At least I couldn't see or measure any big differences with it turned on or off. By default it's turned on, so I left it there, just shortly tested without it to see if it has some big impact on the battery life. The cool thing is almost all watch faces have this smart always on display, and they are very integrated looking, so it's not like a completely different kind of thing, and you don't have to rely on a fallback always on display like on Huawei smartwatches, for example, for a lot, not all of them, but a lot of watch faces, especially older watch faces. So it's nicely integrated, and you have this Google Play ecosystem, so you can download lots of apps and lots of watch faces that work nicely with the watch, which is also a plus. So when it comes to negative points, yeah, this race to wake feature is not always working, the connectivity to the smartphone is not always working, and I found it strange. I have Spotify, I have YouTube Music, I have a speaker and a microphone on the watch, but I'm not able to play music on the watch with the speaker on the watch. Sometimes this might be handy because I want to listen to a podcast and don't take out my earbuds and connect them with the watch and then listen to the podcast via my earbuds. So this is a strange limitation because I don't think that I saw any other watch, also WearOS watches, the older generations, that have this limitation that you cannot play music via the speaker that is on the device itself, that is used when you take calls, for example. So that's a bit of a weird kind of limitation that I have here with the Xiaomi Watch 2. On the positive side, what I really liked is the ability to play around with your notifications, because you get first the notifications very quickly. Second, you have the possibility to answer those notifications either by voice typing, so you just speak and Google is translating it into text, or you can also type on a small little keyboard. The small little keyboard is working fine, better than I expected, but only type in a few words there, not long texts. Then either use voice typing or just get your smartphone and write the longer text there. So this is working fine, and the cool thing is on Xiaomi Watch S2 it is integrated very nicely, because if you just swipe away one notification, it will swipe this notification away from your smartphone as well, so you don't have to read those notifications again on your smartphone, which is, I think, a nice bonus here. So overall, I think it's a mixed bag, this watch. So sometimes you have like good features there. The WearOS experience, however, feels still a bit clumsy. I used WearOS in its first iteration. It wasn't called WearOS, it was like called Google Wear, or how was it called? I don't know even what it was called. On an old LG watch, and it was very clumsy back in the day. But the other watches and operating systems there were very clumsy as well. But a lot has happened. I used a lot of Huawei devices, Huawei smartwatches, and they felt better with each iteration. With Google Wear OS, I have somehow the feeling it's still a bit clumsy here and there, and you have like a little bit of like lack in polish. I'm not sure if it's Xiaomi's fault there or Google's fault. The icons, the default icons of the apps that are installed there look completely different, like completely different styled. And it's not like that I downloaded third-party applications for this watch. It's just like out-of-the-box experience with all the apps that come pre-installed on the watch, and it looks like a bit out of place. Lots of other things there, little things that are a bit weird, like for example the SpO2, so the oxygen in your blood measurement is like turned off for everyday use, but instead of like saying okay I can now turn it on or something like this, it stays there on a special screen on the next to the home screen, next to the watch screen, and just doesn't do anything. I'm not sure why we cannot, if you turn it off, just let it disappear, let it only be in the menu, such things. So a little bit of this cleverness is missing there still. And stability with the Google Assistant and the phone maybe is an issue. Maybe it should have also the possibility to do certain things like setting up a timer where you don't need an internet connection for, also offline. Also the detection maybe of text and words offline would be very, very cool. I know I'm asking for much, and I know that Huawei watches are also not doing that, for example, but this one is a so much more powerful kind of watch that I was expecting this, actually. And yeah, weird issues I run into, like, not sure if it's a Google issue, it's a Xiaomi issue, or both. Google Wallet, for example, I have a credit card that I'm using on Google Wallet on other smartphones without any issues. Here, I also bought it because I wanted to try out first-time payment with a watch. Not working. I cannot add my credit card to the Google Wallet. It's always like saying some error occurred. And it's working fine on Google Wallet on a smartphone, or multiple smartphones even, so no issues there. So those little nitpicks here and there made it feel like a mixed bag. Paired this together with like the very mediocre kind of battery life, like 2 days definitely, 3 days on a stretch maybe you will get, depending on how many notifications you'll get. If you do lots of navigation with this, forget about it. If you get lots of notifications, 1 day maybe you can survive with, but 2 days is usually what I would say normally you would get out of this. And this is like a little bit too less. I know there's like the new OnePlus or Oppo watch that has this like dual processor and 2 different operating systems running there that can give you like 5 days or something like this. But on my Huawei Watch 3, that is also running with an ASP runtime, so you can run Android applications on it if you want to. So also a real smartwatch. It's not like running its light OS, which is like very limited in certain aspects there. I got like at least 14 days out of it. And yes, some people say this is like insane, but yeah, if you have always on watch face turned off, you can get 14 days, 10 days, such thing. 10 days for sure you can get. 14 days maybe is a stretch, but 10 days you can get for sure. It's something that's lacking on the Xiaomi Watch 2 there, for that matter. I think price-wise it's pretty good. If all the functions that are in there would work, and I would say battery life is like a bit worse there than the other watches, I can live with this. But the connectivity issues, the issues with setting this up actually made me think maybe I'm not a Google WearOS, Google Wear, however they call it now, user, and more like of this light OS or Xiaomi HyperOS kind of user. And maybe I try out one of those watches instead of this one, or just keep my Huawei Watch 3 with Harmony OS that has its limits for sure, but I don't have those issues that I have. I can connect it with every smartphone. It works on every smartphone basically without any issues, no matter if it's Chinese smartphone, a smartphone I bought in New Zealand, or a smartphone I bought here in Europe. So that's it for this short little video about the Xiaomi Watch 2. What are your experiences with WearOS watches? Write it down in the comment section. That's everything. Until the next time. Bye.